And the other thing that connects us it was Liam. And I think it would have been Liam's birthday a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
His birthday was 3 days off mine. So his 29th of August, I believe, and mine's the 26th. And we both, I knew him a little bit. You knew him an awful lot. And he passed away, while on holiday, in Argentina. I mean, yeah, I just couldn't believe it. And you to him, because he had told me, he talked about you all the time. Through the pandemic, I know you were doing things together, doing sort of these sort of live shows and stuff. And he would talk about you as if you were his best friend in the band all the time. And I guess that's you reciprocate that feeling with him, right? You were like especially thereafter the band, you know.
Definitely thereafter. I'd say, in the first couple of years, me and Liam used to speak about this. We kind of butted heads a little bit. Like I said before, Liam had been, he'd been working really, really hard since the age of 14 to get to where he was in One Direction. My journey wasn't like that. So there was definitely, if I wanted to do something and I might be going out late at night and then Liam might say something along the lines of, we've got a photo shoot at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. We never saw eye to eye on those kind of things. Cause I'm just like, well, I've got this amazing opportunity, so I'm still going to go out and, party or whatever. But I think Liam, he came from a very, very sensible, point of view, but mostly because he'd given so much more time and energy to it by that point. Like as I said, yes, it was my third audition, but really they weren't too taxing, the moments of the rejection. I just got on with it and got through it and it was fine. The only time X Factor was relevant to me was the times when I was auditioning those days. Whereas Liam, it became his life from 14 right up until 16. He'd sang at like West Brom Stadium before like any of us had done anything. When I put my post up about him, and by the way, it's just so utterly challenging that, like, there are just too many words and too many memories. It could just be infinite. The post, I really wanted him to be remembered the way that he should be remembered. But this, I could just go on and talk all day about how amazing he was. But I think we all looked up to him. If we were, I don't think I would have been brave enough to say at that age when I was in the band. I think I would have had too much pride. But we all looked up to him massively for like the reasons that I just stated. He was vastly experienced before any of us had done anything. He was also like the safest pair of hands, like in every sense of the word. So like vocally, interview, music video, like whatever it would be, and he'd be like working and doing it. Like he would always be the safest pair of hands. Where maybe if me and say in the back, like either smoking a joint or doing something stupid, Liam would always have his eye on the ball, which ironically created more space for when you've got someone who's willing to pick up the pieces and you've got young lads don't reflect and go, oh, I can see he's picking up a lot of the pieces, I'm going to do a bit more for him. Well, no, you just see that. Like my role in the band might have been to be disruptive and have conversations with record labels or management or whoever. And that was for me to be disruptive and go against the grain. Liam's role was the opposite, but equally, if not more important, to just keep everything going, and be that safe pair of hands of keeping everything in check. That's why from like a very young age, like he was called like the sensible one in the band, which I also don't think will have done him loads of favours mentally either. He was
wildly misunderstood. Big time, man, big time. And oftentimes people maliciously misunderstood him, which was hard. It's hard. I don't know if I have the right words for this, but if you knew Liam Payne and then you went on the internet and saw the way that he was described when, certain moments in press, there was that interview he did in LA and things like that. Yeah. You could only feel awful that he was so poorly misunderstood because he was often painted as being arrogant or whatever. But the reality of Liam is like the opposite of whatever the word arrogant is. Pure is the word. Really nice way of describing him like that. And I don't mean this in a remotely rude way or derogatory way. He had a bit of puppy dog energy about him. Like he's just like, when you say pure there, that's what it makes me feel like. He's just the kind of guy that you might get a bit of banter wrong and it comes across a bit cutting and you see him go, oh, and you go, oh, fucking arsehole. Yeah.
Just really wanted to be liked. Now we all do, obviously, like that's in all of us. But I think for Liam, it was vitally important. But also he missed out on some of the social life because from 14 to 16, he was actually working at that point. Like he was still at school and stuff, but his brain and his dreams and probably every night that he went to sleep, he was thinking about how is he going to achieve what it is that he wants to achieve. So he definitely had a very different journey to all of us.
Where were you when you found out?
In the car in LA, and I just dropped, I'm pretty sure, again, my memory isn't good at these moments of time, but I think I just dropped Freddie off at school, my son, and we were just about to pull back up home. I think that's how it went down. It was actually, I found out through Niall. He told me, and then I think he said, Niall said something like, along the lines of, have you seen the news? And I knew as soon as he said that, kind of knew what it might have meant. I had the feeling that I had with Felicity, and I think anyone has this when they're around someone who's struggling. My 150% wasn't nearly enough. And that's where it's my own arrogance thinking that I could have helped, really, because it was so much deeper than what I could have done for him. He was definitely struggling at that time in his life. And a lot of people said this, and it really resonated with me. He never, if he could just see, just for 5 minutes, just live in your head or my head and see how we perceive him, he would be so shocked. Mm. He would be like, honestly, but like even the fact that you two were friends and I didn't know about that until you mentioned it at Soccer, or maybe he mentioned it loosely. He would have loved that. You would have been someone definitely that he would have felt really like proud to know, and like because you come from also a very credible space, and that's something that was always really important to Liam. Business very, very important to Liam. So the fact that you saw him, like that would have meant the world to him, definitely. He very, very misunderstood. But I think also the fact that he was misunderstood is because he was, like I said before about all of our solo endeavors. When most bands or artists start out, they do a development stage for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. We had to do this development in the public eye post being in One Direction. Liam was still working so much out. So the fact that he might have been a bit misunderstood, you can't, there's some things that people definitely can be judged for. But in terms of him occasionally coming across like that, you can't even judge people on looking because they just see what they see. But in reality, that's just someone navigating almost in the way that if you went down to university and just people watched for 2 months, you would see some stuff, of people that were struggling with some things and whatever. Or complete walking contradictions. You'd see someone in the first year who says that they swear by this brand and they'll never wear this brand, and the next year they'll be wearing said brand. When we're at that age, we're all still just working it out. So there's so much room to be misunderstood because you don't know yet, And I think that was a tough thing for all of us, is working out who am I outside of Liam in One Direction, Louis in One Direction. Who am I, and what does that look like? And that question's intimidating, really, really intimidating.
You lose a friend there, but you also, in some respects, it's grieving the band again, is it not? Is it not? You know what I mean?
It definitely brought up feelings like that. Look, there's now only 3 other people on the planet that can deeply understand my professional journey. Like, you never say never, right? But never, like, I can't ever imagine. I'm not sure it would be right to him. Like, say, sake of argument, 25 years time, it's like a fucking Oasis thing. They offer us an arm and a leg, and they're like, come back and do this many shows. don't know. Yeah, I think it just completely put a pin in all of that. And the irony is, there was no one campaigning for One Direction to get back together more than Liam. And like, I would say I came in a close second, actually, like definitely. Another important thing to mention about Liam, which I thought was incredible. There's a time where I felt like me and Liam were professionally losing together. We were struggling to be solo artists and find true success, and we were kind of struggling together. And then Liam had little moments where he had like really successful singles and they streamed really well, and he'd like feel really good about that. But at that time, nothing was really working for me in my job. So I was really proud of him, and I'd message him and stuff. And then not to the same weight, but kind of role reversed a little bit. And Liam was struggling a little bit more professionally, and I just started to understand the picture a little bit more. Started doing more touring and stuff like that. And like, for example, when I made a documentary and a film about like my life after One Direction, and Liam came to the premiere. Now, I'll just say this because I was going to mince my words, but none of the other boys would have done that. Fact, boys out the band, the lads in One Direction. Would I have even done that? I would like to sit here now and say, yeah, I think I would, but I don't know, truthfully. And the point being that me empathizing how I was a couple of years prior to that, Liam was sat in a cinema watching a film about how I'd been successful in the last 12 months when he was struggling with his own things. And it's something that I'm not sure I would have been brave enough to do. I'm not sure the other boys would have. And basically all that is, to sum that up, is just utterly putting himself second. There's no way that wouldn't have had a certain kind of weight on him. Because as you said, we're all human and we naturally compare. So, you know, there might be things that were happening there that he was wanting for. And I think just the fact that he turned up on that day and was there for me, and I just did the role reverse in my head and imagined that. I just imagined how challenging that could be. And it's just a real testament to Liam. And he couldn't have been more happy. And it's another great example, right, of this, of where the fucking internet it's just a horrible place at times. He put up, and luckily I know someone will have screenshotted it because he deleted it in the end, but he put up this beautiful post after my premiere for this documentary, like an essay, a fucking essay, like stuff that he's never said to me before. It was like the sweetest, nicest fucking shit. And then about 2 days later, he deleted it because the fans were just caning him for it, just saying that he was like, you know, bandwagon, kind of like, you know what it's like. It's a very small percentage of people, but they make a lot of noise, and sometimes it'll push you to a point of like even deleting a post. But that being an example of him just really putting himself second and really trying to say to the world how proud he was of me, and the end goal was more ridicule.
And the same happened right when he was in Argentina. He was there watching Niall perform, and there was lots of similar narrative around his appearance there.
And all I would say in any regard like that, not just Liam, in any person like that, after you judge, because sometimes it's human nature to judge, after you judge, just give those things just a little bit more thought. So take the tour thing, for example, and he's at the tour show and people were making comments of how much he was loving the attention. On the surface level, that's someone who wants attention. If you just look a little bit deeper, that's someone who's just been in the biggest band in the world and wants those situations again, who hasn't had those live situations again and craves for them. The reason also Liam could be misunderstood is because he didn't really operate with a filter, you know? So he would just feel something, say it, and there you go.
Is there anything else that you've been meaning to say?
It's a great provocative question, that.
Because that always is, right?
No, there is. Well, we should talk about Freddie for a second, my little boy.
Fatherhood.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which is again something that happened to me. I was young. I was 24 when I had Freddie. Now, the emotions that a lot of people go through when they become a new parent, some of those will be different for me because I've always been uber excited about it, even from like being a young lad. But also, truthfully, I felt utterly confident. I felt like I was going to be a good dad. I really, really wanted to do that and to play that role. And And he's just, honestly, he is just the sweetest kid, man. He's just so kind. Like, that's what, honestly, I could well up thinking about it now. Like, that's what makes me feel deeply proud.
I mean, that's what I did ask Lottie and a few others about him. And the quote that I got back is, Louis is the most amazing dad. His little boy is the nicest, sweetest, most polite boy ever. And that's obviously because of how Louis has brought him up. I try to take a lot of advice and be more like him with my parenting. And that came from Lottie. And I have multiple accounts of just how wonderful of a young man Freddie's growing up to be. So that's
he's great, man. I tell you what, I'm at this age, 33, a few grey hairs on my head, starting to be a bit more aware of my age, feeling a little bit older. There's nothing that makes you feel better than when I go pick him up from school. I am a young dad. Like, for that age group, I'm still a young dad. So, yeah, it's good for my ego as well. The other things that can sometimes be challenging like that with Freddie is it was like the elephant in the room for ages, me talking about like my life and specifically the fame, like specifically like those kind of things. Because I think to a kid, they just see it in the pure sense of a singer. You know, there's someone who sings and that's that. Mm-hmm. But I think where it became inevitable that I'd have to have conversations with him, it'd be like, say we're out, you know, at Target in America and someone stops me for a photo. Now, I'd like to say I'm pretty good with photos. I'll do them 8 times out of 10. Whenever I'm with Freddie, there is a 1,000% no chance. Like, that is just not happening. I don't get enough time with him as it is. I'm always balancing my time between tour and going to see Freddie in the UK. So, like, it's just a flat no every single time. And after, like, the second or third time that had happened, I just played in my mind. I put him to bed that night and I was reliving it. And I was thinking, he's going to think I'm a dick. Like, and that I was like, because I, you know, it's really important that, you know, I push kindness on him and respect and seeing the good in people and all of that. And all of a sudden I was doing this thing that was really contrary to what I was kind of trying to teach. So I did have to have a conversation with him about it. But again, you're trying to explain algebra, as I said to you before. When I'm not at work, like, I would be more than happy to like nobody to ever recognize me when I'm not at work. When I'm at work, I'll need it for the promo. Give me a bit of that. But when I'm not at work, like I could go out my way to just never have any of that. Hood up, no one, cool. So when I'm picking up Freddie from school, I am certainly not some guy used to be in this band and this singer. Like, not at all. I am there like everyone else as a father or as a mother. It was last day of term, go to pick him up, I go into his class, and I could just hear what sounded like karaoke, and I'm thinking of all fucking days of me going to pick him up, they're doing karaoke today. And she had absolutely no problem asking me in front of everyone if I wanted to come to the front and do one of the songs. Now, I'm there as a parent, like, you know, that's that. And what's really tough is, in front of Freddie and all his friends, I have to politely decline. Now, I don't really like how that's going to make Freddie feel. You know, those kind of situations are really, really tough like that, where now some people may well just grabbed the mic and just took the stage, you know, but there are moments like that I don't think he's going to truly understand until he gets a little bit older. He's been to a couple of gigs and that definitely added like some context to it all.
He came and saw you in California, didn't he?
Yeah.
When you performed out.
Yeah, that was amazing, man. It was so amazing.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favour. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.